The latest update does all sorts of things, like fixing the first-person arm model to look more like the characters they're representing. They've also fixed a double star exploit if you do a double star Guardian mission if you have just 1 star left before beating a week's 6-star quota. And they fixed that 15-meter error that I covered recently, but I guess we'll never know for sure what caused it. The new service medals for 2021 have been rolled out, which you can get one of, should you reach or be at level 40 at some point next year. There's a new donate weapon feature to help you drop weapons to a teammate. No longer will you have to toss a weapon to a friend. Holding down Ctrl when you buy it will automatically launch it in the direction you're looking, without it ever replacing the weapon that's already in your inventory. In practice, this tossed weapon won't behave any differently from how throwing it across the map manually did. Like, it doesn't immediately get placed in the inventory of the person requesting the weapon drop or anything like that. The real change here is that the person donating the weapon won't have to drop the weapon that's already in their inventory. Because say you had an AWP and wanted to drop another player an AK. Before this donate feature, you had to drop your AWP on the floor first, toss the AK to a friend and then pick your AWP back up again. This led to horrible situations where another teammate would steal your AWP, which discouraged donating weapons to other players, and weird behaviour where a teammate would toss the weapon that they wanted to use into a nearby hedge or whatever, so that they could ensure that they'd be the first one to reach it when the buy time ended. I always got offended when I was stood next to players like this. It's like they saw me as a thief or something. So the donate feature simplifies matters somewhat by allowing you to keep hold of the weapon that you want to use that round. And of course, with this change comes yet another control added to the already very long list of them in the game's menus. It's getting so complicated in fact that they've added a search option so that you can quickly find the keybind that you're looking for. On this search page is also a list of the latest new options to be added, which is handy too. You can now buy a total of 5 uses a round instead of just 1. I guess the reason for this is to drop through all teammates if you wanted to. And then as well as this, there are map changes to Elysion, Apollo and Anubis. Elysion is a map that was apparently the victim of people trying their hardest to exploit it, since all sorts of boosts and pixel walks have been fixed. These include being able to walk above the doorway outside, standing on the edges of the umbrella outside, standing on the top of the A sign on the bomb site, double boosting onto the top of the palm tree thing here, which I think is pretty cool, but whatever. You can also apparently boost people onto the Elysion sign on this bomb site, but this wasn't something I was able to pull off before. Most door frames could previously be pixel walked on too. This ladder has been taken away. I think its only purpose was to block a camping spot, but it's now cool to hide here. Previously, people were able to boost up onto this grassy verge outside to peer into the bomb site. There was already a clip brush above this area to stop this, but it's been extended further out in all directions to ensure it can no longer be done. The grass on this verge has been shrunk to improve visibility since it was obstructing sightlines before, though I still think it can from the right angles. And the waterfalls have been removed from the white walls since they were apparently making the smoke from smoke grenades see-through, but it seems like the waterfalls are still in the map. And a run boost could apparently have been done from the railing near A site, but it looks like it still can be. So let this serve as a lesson to all map makers everywhere. Clip everything off, even if you don't think you need to. Apollo's maker has very kindly shouted out all of the people in the patch notes who helped to improve his map. Dogman15 pointed out a lot of small grammatical stuff like commas and capital letters. He also found a few things that wouldn't have been the way they were had this been an actual place, like how, in the map's legend, they have a food icon, yet nowhere on the map where it was actually being used. And he pointed out that this diagram here was not to scale, and stuff like that. City Spawn has had a few of its corners cordoned off, and the globe in the middle shrunk to make this a less scary place to attack, which will help players carrying a hostage to safety at the end of the round. Nothing has changed to look at here, but the model shuttles should be nicer to walk on now. CF166 highlighted problems with unintentional, sneaky head peak spots, like at T-Spawn over this wall here. It's been made taller to prevent this. This car just outside of CT Spawn had weird see-through parts to it, which has been patched up. The radar's design has been condensed down into a single, more readable image that now conforms with the style of the other radar images in the game. This palm tree has been rotated to prevent it from obstructing vision between these two areas. This map has followed in Ancient's footsteps by having fewer drawn details on low settings, which should help players on slower PCs when playing this map. Shavitush to thank for this, though his name is misspelt in the patch notes. And the last map to cover is Anubis, which is special, because I'm mentioned. I'm not just saying this because I've been mentioned, but I do like how Anubis is already a good map, yet isn't afraid to make considerable changes to its design. The updates listed all involve Bombsite A, which has had about half of it totally redone to reduce the number of camping spots. The main entrance has been widened, walls have been taken away, and camping spots reduced or removed. The same applies to the entrance from middle. There's now no longer cover from sight. It's just a large, bare, exposed platform, which should significantly reduce the number of spots players have to check when clearing the site out. And then we get on to the last bit. Some minor things 3kliksdevelop will probably find out. Nice. I've had lots of people telling me that Valve have mentioned me in these patch notes, but this was just copy-pasted from the notes that Anubis' maker had typed. In honour of this mention, however, I will be dedicating an entire video to find whatever else has changed on this map. Just this once. I will end this video by saying that, while I do make an effort to search for changes, I'm not omnipotent. I do have a time budget for these kinds of videos, so I do use the patch notes as a guide of what I should investigate. So if a map maker only talks about changes they made to bombsite A, I won't notice anything that's changed in bombsite B, which could be quite embarrassing if people rely on me to cover all changes. So please, map makers, do try to include all of your map changes in the patch notes. It's not like I inspect every corner of every map that's updated in the game just for the fun of it.